Welcome to Go Solo Live. This is Jennifer Buchholz with Transform Via Travel. Today, we'll hear from Traci Bogan, who claims to be a dreampreneur, and she is all about dream it, plan it, live it. She wants to help people realize their dreams by putting action to it. She got to this position by going on her own solo journey, and she's going to share just bits and pieces of that as well. I can't wait for you to hear about some of the lessons that Traci's learned by truly dreaming about her future and then taking action to make it happen. Stay tuned, and at the end of our show today, I'll be sharing some of the upcoming events that Transform Via Travel is excited to be a part of.
Welcome to Go Solo Live.
Don't you mean go solo live? Have you ever been asked, why on earth would you travel alone? Go Solo Live not only answers that question, but celebrates life as a midlife solo traveler. This is a safe place for women to come together to reminisce about their travels, encourage others to travel, and to dig into the real lessons learned from these journeys. Now join Jennifer Buchholz with Transform Via Travel as she and her guests share stories of the solo travelers of midlife women.
Hi, everyone. This is Jennifer Buchholz with Go Solo Live. We're here today with Traci Bogan, dreampreneur, and she's going to share with us some of her solo travel tales. Thanks for being here, Traci.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to sharing our messages.
Absolutely. So Traci and I met through virtual introductions from a variety of people that all came at the same time. So it was clearly the power of attraction that brought us together. And so it's always uplifting for me to hear about people's journeys that they've gone on. And it's not just about the trip. You guys know that. It's also about that internal journey. So before we find out where you went, Traci, and how exciting that was, can you tell us a little bit about where you were before you started?
Yes, I was living in Hawaii and working in the medical field for 18 years. And even though going to Hawaii was a dream in and of itself, I had exhausted the lay of the land and all that I felt that I could do there in the decade that I was there. And I was just feeling stagnant, stuck, going through the motions of life and going to work just to collect that paycheck. And Jennifer, I had this aha moment in the mirror that if I die tomorrow, am I really living and fulfilling my passion? And I looked in my own eyes in the mirror and just said, I am more than this. I am more than this, and I have more to offer than being in a 40-hour-a-week work with 2-week paid vacations a year when my passion is traveling and seeing the world.
Absolutely.
And I truly, I woke up the next morning with a knowingness that today's the day that I'm changing my life. Today's the day I'm taking back my power. Today's the day that I'm leaving to follow my dreams. And I called every friend in Hawaii and I said, come to my home for free and take anything that you want. I'm talking everything in a 3-bedroom house, Jennifer. Everything in a bedroom, 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen room, a dining room, everything. Take it. And I bought a map and I circled everywhere in America that I ever dreamed to see, from something as simple as having Cajun food in New Orleans to seeing the Marfa Lights in New Mexico and seeing the last frontier in Alaska, to circling everywhere in the entire world I dreamed to go. And I bought that map and that backpack, and I left on the 76th hour of making that decision because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of just going through the motions, collecting a paycheck instead of collecting experiences and unleashing my heart's desire to see the world and to share those experiences. So that's where I was.
So when you talk about where you were, we're going to stay there for just a minute because you know, it's funny as I go a little bit more into my own story, there's always different coaching that you get about, you know, how you can share that story. And one of my friends likes to use the phrase, paint the slobber. And the idea of, I know it sounds crazy. It's think about, yeah, but
slobber doesn't even sound attractive or appealing.
I know, but it's like actually painting that picture of what that mess was looking or feeling like at the time. And when I talk about some parts of my story, those parts that were kind of the ugliest or the most challenging for me are some that I try to go fast through because, hey, I got over it. I moved on. We're in a new place now. But for some of the listeners, taking that time to share and really feel like what that mess was like at that time is important. Would you share a little bit about what, it it doesn't even necessarily matter like how old were you, but what was your life when you felt like that emptiness and you were ready to leave it all behind and pursue more? What was that emptiness like?
I was age 31 and I grew up with the preconceived notion and just all of my experiences of people in my life that you grow up, you fall in love, you get married, you have children, you get a job that you keep until you retire, and you wake up and just do life and do life and do life. And we get older and our kids grow. I didn't do life that way. And I've never been married, close, and I
Mhm.
have no children, and I've never had a desire for that. And and that space that I was in was the guilt of I didn't turn out the way my family believed I should have turned out. I'm like the black sheep of the family, and it was that space was a sense of guilt that I didn't do it the right way. So maybe if I go backpacking around the world to find myself and discover who I am, maybe I could come back and feel at peace to be able to do that. Well, when I left to do that, I did meet the woman in the mirror and embrace my womanhood, my femininity, my heart's desire, my purpose. I met me for the first time, and I breathed. My heart breathed its first breath of life in its whole life when I was 31 at an ashram in India, looking in the mirror, getting clear on who I am. And I came home with being even further, being unattached to those other people's, even though they're my loved ones, other people's perceptions on how life should be. And I
Perfect.
embraced fully my light and my message and my purpose and my passion and my mission. And it was just born when I was 31. And I completely switched careers and life directions. And that journey, that solo journey around the world. Now, let me say this. I left with my best friend, Amy, and 5 countries in, she was tired of living out of a backpack and missing her relationship or being in a relationship. And she was just done traveling. And the hardest thing to do was to stay when she left. The hardest thing.
So
And thank God that I did, because that solo travel was the turning point of my entire life, of me being comfortable in my own skin and really getting clear on my purpose.
so you covered a lot there, Traci, and I want to take that back into some smaller chunks for our listeners because each one of those components of your journey is what they could be facing right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
one of those pieces had to do with whether they were social norms or expectations placed on you by your family or our own personal version or vision of what we were supposed to do because that's just what girls did. And again, I'm unmarried and I've never had kids and I've been close as well. I'm very comfortable with the decisions that I've made to be at this point in my life. But that doesn't mean that there hasn't been some searching, some seeking, and some questioning. And I think that there are certain times, especially at those turning point years like 30 and like 40 and things like that, where it's time to take a step back and reevaluate and make a choice about whether you're going to be living the life that you have chosen and designed, or whether you're going to live the life that has been chosen for you based on decisions that you've made in the past and or circumstances.
Yes.
So that part isn't easy either, because while there is people's fear for you, and we'll talk about what your family thought when you told them that you were going to go on this trip, um but it's also well, wait, if she not just, okay, we're concerned about her or her safety or things like that, but what if she comes back and she's different? So they also start to wonder, what are those what will their role be in your future when you go off and do something that nobody from Racine, Wisconsin would think is very sane to go do? So how did you work through some of that stuff?
Very interesting. So first, there's a difference I learned the difference between being a creator, because we're all the creator of our results, versus living reactively.
Very good.
And I truly was able to get clear when I allowed myself the space of trusting that my dream was to go travel and allowing my space to go travel. I mean, that choice and decision for most people is huge. It's terrifying to make that jump from thinking it and dreaming it to actually leaping into it and doing it. And so it was in that space that I realized that my whole life I had been living reactively, like most people are, living in a comfort zone and just reacting and going through the motions. And in terms of, what was your question? How did I get through it?
Well, and how did it go with the family? That's part of it, is that how are they supportive? How are they reacting? How do you handle that? Because when you're going to be gone for a bit, knowing how they're going to be about it, even though it's not your responsibility to take care of that for them, it's still something that often matters.
Here's what I learned, and I didn't learn it in time with my family, but in hindsight, this is a very valuable lesson for people to pick up on. In my worldwide survey, asking people, what is your dream and what is holding you back? I learned that it's not that your loved ones don't want you to succeed. That's not what it is. It's that they don't want you to leave them behind.
Yep.
And that it's our responsibility to do a better job at enrolling and engaging them in the vision, because it's not about setting a goal. It's about creating the vision and inviting them in with a role to play on how they can support you, and reaching out and asking for that support. So when I went to my family, I didn't ask permission. I went there and said, this is my dream. This is my vision. I'm leaving on this day.
Bye.
Will you support me? I would love your support.
Right.
Your support. And I came home and my dad went bald and my mom went gray. And they worried every single night about me. They worried themselves sick before bed every night. And that was their journey while I was on my journey. And, solo travel, even travel in general, because I started off with my best friend. I started off with my best friend. You want to know why, Jennifer? And I guarantee you, other people listening to this are feeling the exact same way. I promise. It's because I didn't believe in me. I didn't feel I had the strength, the courage, or the confidence, or the know-how to go by myself. So it was a safer choice for me to go with a friend, because I believed in her more than I believed in me to get through it. And thank God she left when we got to India.
And I know she knows you say that, so it's okay. But for sure.
And thank God I had the courage to stay.
Yep.
Because it wasn't, if she wouldn't have left, I wouldn't have gone to the ashram in India for 40 days and been quiet and looked in the mirror and unraveled and unpeeled all the layers of what makes up Traci Bogan. What is my light? What is my message? Why am I here? What's my purpose on this earth and in the skin suit? None of that would have happened because she was my crutch. And we just would have continued sightseeing and exploring adventures, not ourselves.
Well, and the thing is, whenever you're traveling with someone, you are influencing the experience. Many times we are concerned about their level of enjoyment. So we are then editing our experience. And we may be even we're influenced by how they like something or don't like something. And we can't truly just be with ourselves. So I've said it, but it takes them a little bit while to digest it. I'm like, don't bring a friend. Go make friends. It doesn't mean you have to be alone the whole time, but don't bring a friend or a family member who has, while they may have a vested interest in you being happy, any changes that a person makes on that kind of journey will then have an impact on other people's lives and what those relationships are, what they'll tolerate from people, or how they want to show up. And it's so important that you can do that in a free experience, like what you did.
Exactly. Exactly. We get, yeah, we don't even realize we're codependent on the good opinion of others. We're codependent. Their opinions, their thoughts, their feedback guide and steer and influence us in ways that we don't even imagine. It's almost unconscious. We're unconsciously reacting and editing or edifying
Yep.
how and justifying how we show up and how we do things.
Well, and then we add to it that, let's just say, for example, that I am traveling with someone and they really like my boyfriend at the time. And I'm going through my journey trying to figure out, is this the right person for me?
Mm.
Well, they may have an interest in seeing me stay with that person. Maybe their husband gets along with that person really well. You know,
Yes.
like it's not saying they have ulterior motives, but they may have these hidden underlying things that have to do with how a change in your life will make a change in their life. There's a ripple effect here. And whether that's something that they want to support.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, again, it's not that they're trying to be selfish. It's just part of the reality of how we're all connected. And so, yeah, it matters.
It absolutely matters, and it's we don't realize the influence that we are on others, or the influence or influencers that we have in our life that either trip the trigger or unconsciously we're guided. We're guided in the direction of their energy flow, as opposed to sometimes listening to our own.
Exactly. And because so many times, especially for women, we've been placed in these roles of caretaker to actually, part of the people that I work with, they're like, I'll go wherever you want to go for dinner. I'm like, no, no, no. You're going to pick, and you're going to pick something that you're truly going to love, not just something that's convenient. Like, if you don't know what your top thing is to go have for dinner, then you probably need to go try 5 different foreign foods and actually decide. Like, you need to then go have a different experience so you can make a decision and then claim that as your own.
That's a beautiful, empowering exercise for anyone right now listening. Even if you're thinking of traveling and going traveling, do that exercise and get out of your box and go out to 5 different restaurants, and you be in charge of what your favorite foods are, and follow up on that ethnic journey. Make it an experience. That's a powerful exercise to step into.
Absolutely.
You don't have to make quantum leaps.
No.
You don't have to make quantum leaps, and you don't have to go around the world to have an experience. You can start at your local restaurant in your own city.
And that's the beauty of this. That's the beauty
going
of
by
it.
yourself,
Yep.
solo, having a solo dining experience and making an experience.
Well, and treating yourself. It's so funny how when we travel, all of a sudden, things like my inhibitions go down, or, like I'm much more social. Well, you know what? You can be like that at home. And I did find that when I traveled and I'm like, oh yeah, I really did enjoy doing something like this, I'm much more willing to experiment when I travel than I am at home. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's like 5 times more expensive to experiment when I travel than it is to do it at home. So come on, people. Right?
Exactly. Some people never even leave the circumference of their homes by a 100-mile radius or
Yep.
50-mile radius or 20-mile radius.
Yep.
My grandmother's never been on an airplane. She's never been out of her state, I don't recall. We get stuck in our comfort zones, and sometimes, and that's a reactive way to live. But the good news is that any single one of us at any given time in any moment like that can make a new choice for yourself. Put it on paper, set a do-it date, and show up for you. And you don't have to have the crutch of somebody else to hold your hand and go have a beautiful experience. It begins with you. And here's another thing that I'm learning as I get older, I'm in my 40s now, is that I'm reading a book right now called The Mastery of Love.
Okay.
And it really, really, truly starts with the man in the mirror. That when you're comfortable in your own skin, to feel comfortable and confident, to go to a restaurant, something as simple as go, and it's not simple for some people. Some people are
Right.
terrified. To
Right.
go into a restaurant and dine by themselves and not just eat to eat and get out of there, but to actually enjoy and slow down and be in the experience and enjoy the flavors and the taste going in your mouth. That when you're comfortable in your own skin that way, little successes breed bigger successes.
Amen.
And start small, but it's really about loving yourself and giving yourself permission that you're worth it, that you can do it, and having a belief factor in you. And that is sexy, because when the more of those little successes, they start
Yep.
building your self-confidence. And when you build your self-confidence, your self-esteem inflates, and your sense of self-worth inflates, and your sense of self-empowerment inflates, and then your sense of self-value to the world and self-love for yourself gets
Yep.
bigger. And when you're stepped into and leaning into, when you be love, because we're all lovable, loving, and loved, but most of us don't believe it. We don't know how to give it. We don't know how to receive it. But it really starts with loving you first. And when you do, you're just more attractive and more confident to then attract someone else who will go with you on that journey.
I'm with you. And I one of the things that I do has to do around that idea of comfort zone. And we talk about comfort zone and how you got to get out of your comfort zone, and the only place you can grow is outside of your comfort zone, and discomfort is necessary for growth. And there's all these lovely little taglines around it. I just want people to ask themselves at some point, have they ever felt that their comfort zone has turned into a straitjacket?
Ooh,
Because when we get wrapped up so darn tight in our comfort zone and we haven't done anything to flex it, we haven't tried a new food in how long, we haven't gone for a walk outside to experience how our neighborhood has changed, just these little things, getting exposure and rediscovering so many of these things is part of getting out of your comfort zone, and it makes a huge difference.
absolutely. We get atrophy.
Yep,
I
exactly.
mean, some people
Yep.
literally don't move more than 50 steps in a day.
Yep.
I love what Tony Robbins says, and I've added a few things to this, but we wake up every morning and we get out of our box bed, we go to the box TV, eat our breakfast out of a box, get in our box car, go to our box office, work on a computer box, go home, watch the idiot box, and we go back to our box bed for the night. And we do this for 60 years, 80 years of our life.
Yep.
And we develop atrophy, and we're either growing or we're decaying, because atrophy, when you're not moving, even still waters
Yep.
develops bacteria and acidity, a stagnancy, and can be poisonous because it doesn't move. You have to have flow. These bodies
Absolutely.
are designed to move, and people are addicted to our remote control. And in my opinion, Jennifer, the more connected we are on
Oh yeah,
these devices, the more disconnected I really feel we are.
I know. I don't disagree with you. I really don't. That's
There's a
hard stuff.
whole beautiful world out there to explore, and it's not just about going around the world per se. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
go explore the changes in your own neighborhood. We don't even neighbor anymore. Everyone's got
No.
fences. I grew up in a neighborhood where everyone was on their front porch, and always our porch or the lady next door, everybody congregated, and we neighbored.
Yep.
And we grilled out and we connected. We don't do that anymore. Kids don't even go the snow hills in Wisconsin are virtually empty as compared nowadays to when I was growing up. We don't even our kids don't even play outside anymore. They're too busy doing this.
Well, or there's these other artificial experiences that people are engaged in, whether it's the computer or stuff, or it could be like, okay, well, we're going to a bounce house, or like when you're doing that with your kids, it's a very created experience, so you're there for a limited amount of time, and there's all the rules and structure. And so that's part of I really want people to live and make mistakes. Go screw up. Go get on the wrong bus. That might be the best bus trip you've ever gotten on because you might meet the most meaningful person, or you might end up in a destination that you never would have expected, and it's awesome. But instead, we live in this era of perfection, and that mistakes are so scorned rather than encouraged, that our growth, we have done this. We have limited our growth, and by allowing experimentation. And for some people, and I sometimes like have this fear of commitment. I don't want to make a decision. Guess what? I can go try out 5 different choices. I could go try out 5 different decisions. I could go pretend that I have a ton of money and I'm going to go downtown Chicago and go shopping, because you can go experiment. Why not?
Absolutely. Why not? And I encourage everyone right now to write down the 5 things. If time, money, and failure were not an object for yourself, what would you go do, be, see, do, have, experience? Write them down. Pick one that you feel excited about, confident about, and that has a resonance with you, that you'll feel good achieving it, and set a do it date and go do it. Take the challenge. Please take the challenge. Give yourself that gift.
Well, and that's just part of what Traci will have to offer when she is talking about how to become your own dreampreneur, because she is clearly a do it kind of coach. I love that. Thank you. So as we talk about travel and mistakes, tell me something that didn't quite go as planned, on whether that was your big trip or a different trip, and what went wrong. How'd you feel? And then what was the aftermath or recovery?
Jennifer, the list is so long. So long. There are so many experiences, from getting mugged in Bolivia and surrounded by 5 men and knocked to the ground and having all my camera equipment stolen on a Sunday morning in broad daylight in Bolivia. I cried for 24 hours straight. It was devastating. I ended up leaving Bolivia earlier. The police wanted bribe money to assist me to get my things back, or to help me. To getting conned at a spiritual retreat in India and getting taken for $1,000 and having my passport confiscated by the people at the spiritual retreat. The lists are so long. I've encountered such extreme experiences of hurtful, painful things, as well as beautiful, glorious, transforming moments. Those are a couple. And in hindsight, there's beautiful lessons and blessings in each one of those experiences. Here's a funny story that didn't go well. My best friend Amy and I show up. We're teaching. We were teaching English at the World Exchange College of Language in Qingdao, China. We had a series of flights that got delayed, and we didn't arrive until the middle of the night. Nobody was there to pick us up like there was supposed to be. The people from the college were going to be there, and they said, don't exchange money. We'll have everything for you. We'll be there to pick you up. We'll take you to your apartment. Everything around the airport was closed, including the exchange counters. So nobody speaks English in this place we were at. Everything's closed. It's the middle of the night. We cannot communicate with the taxi cab driver to where we're going. We're calling the school, calling every number we have. Can't get a hold of anybody. We get to a restaurant and we are pleading for us to eat. For us to get something to eat, and we are showing them American money, and they're knowing, and we haven't eaten for like 12 hours.
Wow.
So we somehow bartered. We're taking clothes off of us and handing it to them, and they could see we're attempting to barter that we're really hungry. They fed us. This restaurant fed us food. And we did go back after we were able to get our currency exchanged the next day, and we did pay them.
Sure.
And we get to the hotel. We walk in. It is the Roach apartment.
Oh boy.
There's rotted food with maggots in the refrigerator. There is fluid stained sheets on the bed. I mean, it was the most gross, disgusting thing. We had to sleep on top of our sleeping bags. We both woke up with over 200 bed bug bites on our body.
Oh God.
We called the school in the morning and said, here's your choice. You put us on an airplane home, or you get us a new apartment right now. And they moved
Right.
us immediately. I mean, it was an embarrassment, but it was something funny that we look back and laugh at now. Like, we're big teachers at the World Exchange College of Language, which is
Yeah.
this prestigious college, and we're in a bug bed infested maggot cockroach
Wow.
dead mice on the floor. They didn't even look from the last person who left to move in the new teachers. So the experiences, bad and good,
Girl,
are
you have done some
all
crazy stuff.
over.
You've done
But
some crazy stuff.
every one of them has been a laughter or a blessing or the beauty. And regarding getting mugged in Bolivia, one night I'm laying on a couch in Wisconsin, and I was thinking about these men. And I was thinking that they will never have a couch to lay on in their life. They will
True statement.
never have a TV to look at. They will never have a bed to lay in without bed bugs, or most people in that part of the world don't have an actual bed. They sleep this far from the floor or on the floor or on mats on the floor. I've
Yep.
been there. I lived in their homes. I've been in their homes. They will never have a refrigerator that they can go to and pull open and have a fridge full of food at their leisure to eat when they desire. They will never have showers with hot running water any time of the day. A lot of places, when they flip the light switch, they will never have electricity. And so I sat back on my couch and I began releasing my resentment and sending them love, sending them the purest love and joy, that I hope they sold my equipment, and I hope that they had gotten money to buy themselves some basic essential needs or little luxuries to make their life better, because obviously they needed to have that stuff more than I did. And I send them love when I think about them to this day. And it's been a very empowering, bad experience that turned into a blessing for me to appreciate
Right.
where I am and all that I have just by the fact that I live in America.
True statement. Very, very true statement. I can appreciate that.
What's one of your stories, Jennifer, of something that didn't go well or as planned?
Oh, goodness. I wish I had enough time for that one. Let's just say that I had made a special trip to New Zealand to meet someone that I had connected with on an earlier trip. And by far, it didn't work out as intended. So, but I could probably record a whole episode of looking for love while traveling. And the funny that was probably one of the more painful experiences, yet probably the ones that, again, when it's the most painful, you also learn and grow the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've only, this is the best part. I've heard Traci speak a couple of times, and she's an amazing, dynamic public speaker. And you have not heard anything yet because you haven't heard her whole tale. You haven't read her book. You certainly haven't seen the videos. And for Traci, that all goes hand in hand. But Traci has an amazing story to share. And I really just wanted her to tease you all with it today, because sometimes we need to step out of our story and look at what that might look like from the eyes of other people. And when we do that, and we're still willing to share it anyway, it makes a big difference. Traci is out there about trying to help people and in some ways almost change the world with the work that she's doing. So Traci, would you mind sharing a little bit about that with others?
Yes. A couple of things. I would love to give a gift to the audience to assist them on their journey to self-empowerment and making some shifts in their life, their mindset, and their business. And the other thing is, I love to speak. I love to speak to groups, organizations. I love interviews and connecting. So if your audience would like to bring me in as a speaker, or if they have a show or program or radio or TV, I would love to be a guest on that. And the gift that I have for them is to text the word DARE, DARE, text the word DARE to 96,000. And for the next 10 days, you will get an email with a worksheet. It's a 10-day transformation dare that will completely transform your mindset, your life, and your business in 10 simple worksheets, 10 simple, easy steps to get you started on the path of creating a vision and a new direction and a new dream. In case you haven't given yourself permission to dream, We give you permission to dream today, to dream a new dream for yourself, for your life, for your business, for your family, for whatever it is. You will never get a different result if you continue doing the same thing. So make a new choice today and begin with the simple act of texting the word DARE, DARE, to 96,000. And that's your first step getting started.
Fantastic.
You can find me at tracibogan.com, TraciBogan, tracibogan.com. And again, I would love to come and speak to your group or organization.
Thanks,
And
Traci.
Jennifer,
And
thank
we'll
you
have
for
all of that
having
in the
me.
show notes. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And I'm so glad that we've had a chance to connect. I know that our businesses align in some ways, and certainly our mindsets align. And so it's wonderful to be able to share that with my audience.
I appreciate being a guest, and I love the way that we met. I love the way that we connected, and I love the friendship that we're developing and how we're a soundboard for each other and just a shoulder and just a friend for each other as we both embark on our journeys.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Traci, for being here. And this has been another episode of Go Solo Live, Go Solo Live. Wasn't it great to hear the stories that Traci shared with us today? Her book, The Backpack Diaries, shares even more. And within the book, there's links to numerous videos that go along to illustrate the story with even more accurate examples of what she experienced. It's important to remember that all you have to do is dream it, plan it, and live it, as Traci has shared. Have you thought about those 5 things that you would do if money and fear were not an issue for you? Traci encouraged you to pick one and start taking action to pursue that right away. Don't forget to text the word DARE to 96000. Again, that's the word DARE to 96000 for Traci's free offer. We've reached the end of today's episode. I hope you've been enjoying our guests and that you can relate to their stories. The interaction doesn't have to stop there. You're welcome to engage on our Facebook page or send me a direct email at jennifer@transformviatravel.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Reviews of Go Solo Live are also welcomed and encouraged. Just go to wherever you found this podcast and post a review. If you're interested in being a guest on a future episode of Go Solo Live, I hope to be bringing this to you weekly in 2017. Please send me an email and let me know why you'd like to be a part of this show. For more information about how to take your own journey of self-discovery, go to www.transformviatravel.com or www.facebook.com/transformviatravel. I look forward to connecting with you. Until next time, remember you're solo, not alone.